Good morning. It's the 6th of April 2025. More on this solar. Well, we're better deal with it because it's an important issue for people. I'll reread a bit of the letter I got from a person on the 17th of March, and needless to say, this person will not be identified. Dear Val, I hope you don't mind me writing to you, but I think that you are the best man to ask. My ESB bill is getting to a point of being unimaginable. Like in Ireland, the old bills were all ESB, Electricity Supply Board. Now there are other suppliers. They said that open up the market to new suppliers and create competition. A load of horse manure. The only little bit of competition there may be is that I suspect now, and I'll have to check this further, that Bord Gosh do not have many windmills or solar farms, and therefore they should be cheaper. But whether there's some kind of a balancing payment that stops that, I don't know. But we don't have any competition. They have to take the wind and solar energy by law, whether they like it or not. And if they can't take it because it's physically impossible, proving my point that there's an upward limit on the amount of renewables. I'm the only one in the world ever to spot that little thing. They have to pay them to turn them off, called constraint payments. They thought they'd get away with keeping that a secret. Think they can make mugs out of the people. My ESB bill is getting to a point to be unmanageable. My last bill was €1,000. Now, I did speak with this person, and I did make a video about watching for leaks, how to watch leaks. So I'm going to read some of the commentaries now about that in a minute. I'm considering taking out a loan to install electric panels on my roof. So the fact that this person uses the word electric panels would indicate to me that he or she doesn't know the difference between the thermal ones, which just produce hot water, and the ones that produce electricity. So therefore, I have to make my videos to take in that. So to wise up people on that. And if you want to comment underneath, have I managed to do that? Is that a good thing? Why not? I don't see why we shouldn't explain the technical aspects. There's two different things. So electric production, PV solar panels and thermal solar panels are as different as a petrol and a diesel car. In fact, probably bigger difference in them. So it's important that the person understands these two. You just can't lump the two in and deal with them in the same context. So I'm considering taking out a loan to install electric panels on my roof and to cut the costs. I have been told, now this man's taken out a loan, so that means there's not too much in the kitty. I've been told that they have a payback period of 8 years. Well, who told them? That's the question. I've discovered that the nice lady in the pencil skirt coming round to sell them gets €1,000 the minute she gets your signature. Nobody knew that either. So comment underneath. Am I wising people up or am I not? I've been told that they get a pay of 8 years. This is important as I am 75 and God knows I will be around in 8 years. 75. The question is, would it be sensible to install the panels? And he's a lovely writer. Oh, he's as clear a writer, or it's a woman or a man, whichever, but we'll not say. But beautiful writer, a better writer than I am. Do they work as claimed? Well, I say definitely not. Definitely not. But I do make the distinction that the ones that give us the heat on a day like today, good bright day here, it's windy and it's cold out, it's April, but the ones that give us the heat do work to an extent. It's only a question of are they worthwhile. I'd say if you have a big roof, southward facing, and you have a big family, then possibly. Well, then the point is made to me by an advisor that when you have things cheap, you use more of it. So I've explained that. Now, anyway, I think this person's alone. I didn't ask that question, funny enough. Do they work as claimed? I have looked at on the internet and they don't seem to have be much in by way of unbiased information. That is the truest thing ever, and that's where my channel tries to fill that gap by giving good, honest information. People know I'm the type would not put anyone astray, except on Val's Pictorial Weekly, which is for fun. But and maybe a bit of fun here and there. I think any intelligent person will know when I'm being serious or when I'm being a bit frahula. I never tell lies about stories that happened. Every story I tell happened, unless it's Val's Pictorial Weekly. I don't make up stuff. But anyway, the internet. I mean, I look at YouTube there. I am into, I suppose, a very strong interest in metalwork. Always had it. It's built into me. It was hardwired into me, and I have cousins a bit the same. It's a thing you have. I'd say in a previous life we would have been blacksmiths and things. I don't know, or something like that. Maybe making swords. I don't know. But anyway, that doesn't mean I didn't follow that calling. Maybe I should have, but that's no point. If ifs and ands or pots and pans, we no need for thinkers. Anyway, unbiased information. There's very little unbiased information. And when I'm on about the metalwork. Let me finish that point. Very rarely will you get a video showing you how to do something that tells you properly. If it's brazing, which is one of the most difficult things, brazing, silver soldering, and welding are three crafts of metalwork that are hard to manage. And sometimes I get a result that's a dream, and sometimes it turns out a complete mess. I haven't fully got it yet, but there is some videos, but you'll search and you'll find 20 before you'll find the one that is right. And then you'll get a bluffer that doesn't actually do the thing you want to see. So for example, you might be taking out a door lock of a car. Where is the screw for that? And they'll show you the whole thing and won't show you where the screw is. That's no good. The only reason you're looking is to see where that screw is. Which one do you turn? What is it? Is it a Torx screw? Is it an Allen screw? Or what is it? And what size is it? So you need to know that. If I was doing a video on that, I'd say you need a certain you need a 7mm Allen screw. You need a long Allen screw, or you need a long Torx. Do you understand? I try and give the information that will help the person not to have the tools ready when they start. But there's a lot of bios will not do that. And I think a lot of them are just trying to sell business. In other words, my channel doesn't have any advertising as far as I understand, but some of them get a few bob back from monetizing it. That's no blooming good. No good at all. So the internet you have to use it very, 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 very intelligently. And if you're an oldish person, new to it, and it's a new format, you're going to have difficulty with it. That's my job. That's my job here, to try and bring you up to date as part of my giving back something to this country that gives Ireland, that gives so much to me, and to interact with people. I just don't like not interacting, and to share them what I do find out. Now, I know that you are well informed as a wind power and windmills, and we got that answer. Yes, I have proven that they are not what they're cracked up to be at all. As an aside, my grandfather had a homemade windmill from a car dynamo. The dynamo of a car is wound too slow. A dynamo of a car or tractor has to be rewound. I have an old one here with the casing cracked on it that I had up on a windmill, and it had to be rewound. In other words, if the winding wheel is, we'll say, 2 mil in the starter, you have to take that out and put in, we'll say, maybe 0.5 mil to get the voltage up at the lower speed. But the same with a car alternator. You have to rewind them. But even with a car alternator, you need a bit of speed. So when you put that up on a house, you'll get a wee bit of current. The only thing that ever worked well on them, and it was a cousin of mine that was killed in an accident, God be good to him, had one up, and that was a hub dynamo of a bicycle. He had a hub dynamo of a bicycle. You remember the hub? And they would produce 6-volt light. Might make one myself, just as an example. So this thing of a car dynamo working on a wind charger, the very same as an engine, is not the case. I showed you a big turbine blade I have in here, 7.5 feet, and the speed that goes in high wind is very, very hard to control it. it almost breaks it. It gives a flap. Actually, as the top of the blade goes past the speed of sound, you can hear it cracking. So it's not as simple as just stick a dynamo on it. And if you look at any of them there, and I have a book here. I have a book somewhere, Homemade Wind Turbines, and he emphasises that. And he maintains the best way is to make your own alternator, and he shows how to do it. I think he's named like Pickens. He's an English fellow anyway. You'll get it there. Home wind farm, home wind turbine or something like that. Anyway. I had it here for years anyway. Now, windmill from a car and the bank of batteries. Well, I won't say it wouldn't work, but it didn't really work. That's why, I didn't see that when I was saying that. You see, I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, to get back to the point, are panels worth the effort, seeing that I would be taking out a loan and to install them? I enjoy your videos and your sense of humour, even though I get very sad seeing what is happening to Ireland. See? So we know this letter is genuine. I would feel that you would like to reply to me. I can be reached at the above address or by email or at the phone number. And I did read, yours sincerely. Now, that's enough. You see, I never tell. That person could be anywhere. I think I'm going to give away anyone's identity. So now we're going to look now at some of the things here that I want to get across in this video. And I forgot to tell you, the big news is I have my laptop back. Have my laptop back. So there it's there. There's the plant in America that was shut down. I'll read the heading. Ivanpah solar plant, the flaming failure that's finally been put out of our misery. It's finally happened. The Ivanpah solar plant, that was in California, a bearment of bureaucratic blundering and incinerated wildlife is circling the drain. Once celebrated as a game changer for renewable energy, it's now been quietly escorted off the stage. 1.3 billion Obama gave it, President Obama. It's in California. And that's in the best climate in the world. So that was some wonderful idea. Some poor old farmer with cows tried to tell them, you're wrong, that won't work. And they made little of him, the same as they make little of me. And they've been doing that for years because they want to get cheap money. All the people doing this renewables is get in, get out, and sell it on to somebody else. The windmill model is build them and get away and run away. That's the model. So that's one thing. Now I'll be posting that underneath. Iowa Climate Science and Education. That'll be posted now because I can do that now, you see, with my laptop. And the next thing is a link that was sent to me about German wind and solar power. And apparently they're saying there that they've discovered they don't deliver anything near like what they said. And there's a graph here. Now, I mightn't have time, and you mightn't either, to look at this too much. Read you a bit, and you can check it out later. It just says German wind and solar contribution. Link below, and some translation to text is needed. Poor physical return now for extra wind turbines or extra solar panels, even though wind only contributes 25% of its capacity. So if it's 1,000 megawatts, you'll only get 250 out of it. If it's 1,000 megawatts, you'll get 250 megawatt hours. You only get 25% of its capacity. And solar, 11%. Now, did I get that clear? In case I missed it there. Wind energy gives 25%. I found 18% to be the average, and I've checked the accounts of 40 of them. 18%. But anyway, this says 25%. And solar, 11%. Don't forget, energy in wind is proportional to the velocity cubed. I'm not going to start blinding you with mathematics. That doesn't work. That's for specialised efforts. On windiest days, energy has to be dumped, often at negative prices. In other words, they have to pay them to take it away. And June solar is 10 times in output of December. June solar is 10 times the output of December solar output. It too has to be dumped, and often at negative prices on sunny days. So I'll post a link, but it took me 12 years to force the lefties to agree that the wind didn't blow at 30 miles an hour every hour of every day. It's RTE, the main Irish broadcaster, and BBC claim it does. And it took me about half that time to prove the sun doesn't shine at night, and that it doesn't shine anything like in the winter. Now, according to this article again, and I'll just go through it again, because I know I do repeat myself a bit, but it says here, on windy days, energy has to be dumped, often at negative prices. And June solar is 10 times the output in June than it is in December. Now, do I need to explain that any more? So in my video on solar on the 2nd of April, Eugene B2 says, and he seems to know what he's on about, grid tie inverters, that must be the inverter, convert PV panel 400 volts DC, that's the more modern one, will do 400 apparently, and I know of a case where 250 volt ones were taken out after 3 years and these were reinstalled. So where was the original advice there? For 230 volt AC, that's the mains we have in Ireland. If the mains power fails, the inverter automatically stops supplying power to the grid. But, so, why not use these inverters to keep the grid going? Don't just dwell on that too much. It's quite technical, I do appreciate. To prevent any damage to the power line workers. So it cuts it off so the line's not running back up. But the thing is, when there's a power cut, you have none of this. None of it. Which also means that the home does not have any power from the PV inverter. Okay, I believe this chap knows what he's talking about. It is possible to modify the controls so that the home is powered by the PV inverter while at the same time no power is supplied to the grid. Oh, I'd say that's... You see, this is the point. Should they be installed for home use only? That's something now. See, there's no test done anywhere. While the lines are being repaired. Well, if you can put a generator onto you... I ran my home here, this home here, with a generator. This place was out for over a long time. I think it was about 2 weeks. I had no battery pack. I just ran it there at night. And I had ordinary lamps and that. I had a basic, and I had candles. And I had a heater, you know them little Granny Smith things with the wick in them. Lots of information on YouTube regarding the... Funny enough, it says read more, and I can't get any more. I'll have to find out. This is now my new repaired laptop. The other man says, like your ringtone, all right. Car fridges. Now here's one here by Inverted Surfer. Car fridges are compressors are fantastic. Right, off you go. At 3 amps you can freeze, and regular runs at 1 amp. Yeah, that's free. We're now talking about keeping your food frozen. That'll be a 30-litre model. Can get up to 50 or 60 in size. A home fridge would be unreasonable off solar. So what he's saying here is, if you have a car fridge, fair enough. You can get a fridge to run on gas. I'm not dealing with that. That's not the problem, I think. Just to clarify, Val, I have a NAP from a company who supplied all the parts for our solar system, supplied with a Dutch 25-year guarantee, and it's installed by an Irish company. They are in partnership. The app gives live update feed 20 kilowatt hours is recent 24-hour generation with extended sunny daylight hours. In comparison, dark, dense, cloudy winter days can produce 1 kilowatt hour a day. You take the good with the bad, and like you said, you can only measure it over a year. But so far, I'm happy with the investment. Happy with the investment. But understand, I don't think I can go on there. But that's what I have up there anyway. Right, you'll get that there on that video. So there, that's more or less backing up what I'm saying. I'd say generally enough. So it's not to say, now the ones with the heat on the roof, put in them if you want, if you think they're any good. I'm not totally against them. But, right, well, these ones here. So what he's saying is, he has them done by different companies and everything else. And that Now, he doesn't get much on a dark day, but when it's the month of July, a lovely sunny day, what do you want electricity for? I don't send my gas there and cook the spuds for you. Huh? Don't know. It's up to you. The Who's will put up the price of diesel, so it'll be too expensive for you to run the generator for long. They probably will. But it's difficult for them to take the diesel off me because I'm a farmer with cows. Moo! Moo! Up around the doll. But they're fit for anything. I mean, in England, they're penalising ordinary heating to force you to take heat pumps. Did you know that Pope Pius XIX offered a written guarantee of a place in heaven to individuals who donated their estate to the Vatican after they died? It is, if that's not hearsay, what is? Oh, well, the Pope, he did he give a guarantee? No, he gave a guarantee. There was a woman I knew, and her husband died, and she was a widow, she had no family, and they had a good lot of money, about 50,000, and she left it all to the White Fathers in Cork, and when she was asked why she didn't leave it to the local chapel, because we were trying to do up the chapel, she said the White Fathers gave a guarantee. Yeah, and then somebody else criticises that. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry I did that, but I can't get it out. I'm sorry I mentioned religion. I hate the way they do this. Put in something different. And in future, I'll delete those. I think what the man is saying, or whoever it is that a guarantee, what good is it either? Didn't the people in Cyprus get a guarantee? Didn't the farmers in Holland get a guarantee? They got a certain price. I was at a meeting in Coutill with the Irish Farmers Association and the Irish Farmers Journal, and the promises were 10 a penny. I said nothing, but I spoke to some of the people down the back, and when I pushed them on it, they knew the whole. So, go ahead. They just try to sell this stuff to people. If you're a farmer and you're doing well, keep your money. Put it somewhere some good. If you have to, and I believe I must check that, you can buy gold. And keep it in put in the letterbox. Don't ask me where you put it. It was robbed on you. I don't want to know. But that's the thing. Anyway, if I had any spare money I do it on investments on the farm, and that way my assets is there and it's good. And that's a better way. But anyway, so that's the story there. Now we'll go on now. But that's what happened in the Netherlands. That was the Farmers' Party. They all put in the solar and then the state wouldn't pay them. So be warned. In Cyprus, they're trying to jail them. Be warned. So then now we go on now to the video on the 3rd of April. Thanks, Val. Voice of reason. Good man, Val. You're not forgotten. You are absolutely correct. This man says, thank you. Always appreciated. Very good information. Well said, Val. Why would anyone put them ugly things on their roof? It is now keep up with the Joneses. There's a certain amount of that. Keeping up with the Joneses. They got a new letterbox. Oh, lovely caster. Oh, we'll have to get one of them. I know partners in marriages whose lives are dictated by the whims and the fanciful ideas of their partners. And there was a chap I know getting a message from me in the garden centre up in Meath and up around Navan, and he was behind a woman and she was telling the woman how she forced the husband to do this and that, and she was getting this and that, and then she got a patio in and then she didn't like it and she forced him to take it up. And that is not a gardening problem. That is a marriage problem. I should have a matchmaking service to weed out them ones. The place for them ones is with someone like themselves, but not with somebody who's trying to rear the family and get on well. That can happen. You wouldn't believe the stories we could tell you about relationships and marriages. Bossy men and bossy women. So anyway, that's now this is Leo Keddy. Definitely right. People will never be able to get value for money back that they paid on solar. That's my impression of it. The meter runs front and back. How are you going to know what you got? Now, if this video goes off at 24 minutes, please, I'll just post it again. Hi, Val. I installed 16 panels, 5 kilowatt, and battery installed by a competent local electrician. It worked perfectly. I'm a qualified electrician myself. Since the 1st of the 8th 24 to now, my installation has generated 2994 megawatt hours to date. That's a lot. Anyway, megawatt hours to date. Today, you must remember there's 8,760 hours in a year. Today's yield is 34 kilowatt hours. So that'll boil 34 kettles. It'd boil a kettle with cold water 34 times on the 3rd of the 4th. Energy, it gives me 26 to 27 cents. Well, now, we're going to look at in the next video on the price of electricity. Is that not robbing Peter to pay Paul? But I believe that's the case. That is an unbelievable amount, 26 to 27 cents. And what are they doing with it? Anyone has energy or supply them and give me the cost per unit and the total cost of the bill. And 14 cent 2300. 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. If you're using AMs, will you keep the 2? Don't put in 2300 hours to 8 a.m. It's 2300 hours to 800 hours. Right? And selling surplus at 20 cent. So in the night time it's 20 cent. Kind regard, Sean. Now there's 10 replies to that, and we'll have a wee look. I'll switch off here. Now he's asked how much has he saved since last August. And this is Sean Shannon. He's a regular contributor. I'd say he has solar panels. I'd say he's all right, I'd say. He says, I have saved 598.8 euros since August. The total cost was 10,500. So he had a splash out 10,000. My God almighty. You see the amount of time I'd spend considering a spending of 10,000. I'd build something useful. I'd build a workshop or something. Just to be saving electricity. What is electricity? Only a utility like water. It's just nothing big about it. Are you saying panels have paid for themselves already and made you 598 profit for them in 7 months? An honest question. And he replies, the 16 panels, 6.9 kilowatts, have generated 2.995 megawatts worth 599 in 7 months. Look, I can't go into this. I thought it was a lot more. I thought it was a lot more above. Oh my God, I thought we were told he was getting 2,994 megawatt hours. Now it's 2.994. For God's sake, will you put in the full stop? Oh, I can't bear that. God, if you're going to write a thing, write it right. Am I correct in now? Caveat. Am I correct in assuming that taking what they cost, you are in the red, and if they made 599 in 7 months, you will probably have to replace them before they break even. So there's the question put. Right? See, this is where my channel comes in. This is better. The commentary on my channel is better. And that's why if I get play-by, I don't mind people who oppose me politically. If I get people trying to, troll or destroy my channel, I'll ban them. I've already got rid of that old idiot there, what he called Corkonian, talking to, and another fellow, and they keep changing their username. Okay? So he replies, first of all, there is a 25-year warranty on panels. When did anyone ever use a warranty? Sometimes you might. Their ISA break even is 5 to ISA. I have a degree course in business studies. Don't know what ISA means. Their break even at 5 to 6 years, I believe, is a good investment. I am not justifying myself to you or anyone else. So in other words, I know what's right and you hump off. But this fella could be selling these things. You don't know, this Sean Shannon. So Cosley asked him again. I never asked for justification. I was looking for information. Seems like you're touchy. Once you see them touchy, can I look in the horse's mouth, please? Oh, nothing wrong with my horse. Oh, no. Why do you want to look in the horse? Why do you want to look in the mouth? See? So let's see. Cost 10,500. They are making you 600 per month for 7 months. That makes £85. That makes €85 per month. Divide that by the 10,500 by a profit, gives you 85 a month. So his investment of 10,000 gives you 85 per month. If he had to buy 10,000 worth of gold when he put in them and pay for it to be stored, I'd say, I don't know how long they're in, only in last August, yeah. Gold was, it's gone up about 10% since then. So he'd have made 1,000. Now, that's maybe not very fair. And not everyone can go out and buy a bullock in the mart. I sold a cow last week and I tried to buy some wee bullock to replace. Oh, the prices are just shocking, they're very, very dear. Look, I'm not trying to get you. I just don't understand the logic. This other man, Cosley, can't get the logic. I disagree. Now, Shannon says again, I disagree with the way you calculate earnings. The true earnings are calculated on a 12-month year to achieve an accurate earning. That's true, but then he shouldn't comment until the year is up, till August. He's the one commented it. So if the true period is a year, he can't come along and criticise when he uses 7 months and then say someone else, oh, well, you're wrong. We can divide by 7, multiply by 12. I am not picking figures out of the air. Another major factor is panel orientation. Panel, he puts 2 L's in it. Orientation and inclusion. All contribute to the efficiency of the system. Oh, why should you bother about the efficiency? What's the ESB's job? Isn't its job to give us electricity? Why do we not start carrying water from the wells? Irish water. Why do we not switch off and bring it up in a can on the back of a car trailer? Do we want that messing? My pump got a bit clogged with leaves the other day there. It took me 2 hours to fix it for the cattle. Do I want it? And the time I lost doing that. Why are we getting into the business of making electricity? Let the bloody ESB go off and do it and give it to us at a reasonable cost. The reason is they've made it unaffordable. Right? So somebody makes the point about them spraying the skies with jet planes and all that. I can't deal with that. I don't know what that's about. I don't know. That's very educational, Val. I didn't know. Thank you. God bless. So there's Vicar says he didn't know. So I've helped him. We are with you. Smart meter, dumb customer. Oh, the smart meters are the greatest. Oh, they shouldn't be allowed in. They gave me a smart meter. It's a council property. We go on like that. Now, this is another man here. I'm picking them out. Phillips Turner. If you generate power and feed it into the grid via the old-fashioned analog meter, your meter will in fact run in reverse. That is right, because I know from a private contact I have within the wind industry that the meter ran in reverse in 2009 and they had to pay for the electricity. Winding back the units displayed. You see, so you never know what you say. This is genuine. I have this from within the industry. In this situation, you are getting pound for pound. With the smart meter, when feeding into the grid, you get a fraction for your power compared to what you pay for it. Now we're beginning to see a bit of common sense. This thing about Sean, what do you call him up there? Shannon, about him getting what he's getting it. You are not getting it. That's a lie. The meter goes forward, charging you whatever they're charging you. And you will pay standing charge, PSO levy and VAT on that. Then it goes the other way. And that deducts it. So you pay less. Right? If you have an analog meter, you pay less. So if you were to be paying 600 for your electricity bill, like I have none of that stuff, you might only be paying 500. And this Sean Sheenan says, I've saved so much since last August. He can't know that if he has an analog meter. He can't know it. But the thing about the analog meter is it reduces, it's by the amount you pay. So if you would have we'd say 5,000 units in a year with it, and it produces 1,000, you only pay for 4. So it's at the full cost. You're saving 1,000 at the full cost. So you can say that the cost you're saving is the same. Now, Sean Sheenan did not explain that, and nobody explained it. It took Val, the farmer with cows, to eventually pin it out, whereas Sean had that information and did not give it. Now, if it's a smart meter, then that's a different thing. So now let's see with a smart meter, when feeding into the grid, you get a fraction of the power compared to what you pay. So it can give you 5 pence, because it's a smart meter. Now do you see? Now do you see the way it works? The analog goes frontways and backways, whereas the smart meter goes frontways and backways, but it only pays you slightly, separates the two, so they can pay you whatever they like. There now we have sorted it. I know it's laborious, folks, but with real true education, you eventually get to the facts. Now we're going on here with the same man, Philip Turner. Sounds to know what he's talking about, but that may not be his real name. Smart meters are monitored and configured remotely. Right? A modern inverter, which is approved for feeding to the grid, will feed power to the grid in phase at 50 hertz and at the correct voltage level. Well, perhaps Philip Turner would come back and say, is the phase of the grid taken from the grid? How does the inverter over here know the frequency of the grid? Considering that if you go into air grid dashboard, you'll see the grid is not constant. It's up and down by a few points. The frequency is given. So how does the smart meter know, or how does the inverter know? I think it has to take a line from the grid. That's something somebody could get back to me on. You see, we're slowly, because we can't get in to do this test. Now, another man here posted about this thing about the situation in China, in Cyprus. I'm going to post that again. They're a disaster, and they were a disaster in Holland. All a confidence trick. Someone here posts Baron, it'll be soon cheaper to be off the grid. Like, I'm out the country here, I could do it, but it's a curse having to route with blooming generators. I've 3 of them. One of them was a petrol one, and it gave up on me. Something wrong with the carburetor. And I haven't time. I don't have time to fix these things. The diesel one let me through, and I have it. We don't have time to be routing at this. We're much better off out doing something else. Well, then if you're retired and you have nothing else to do, well, maybe so. I have them on my roof. Brilliant. I have boiling water every day along with my electric. But he has the electric. That's the point. But yeah, I think that we're coming around to a slight acceptance of the thermal ones. So I asked you, do you think they're on the roof, but you think they're on the roof, but it's not your roof? Somebody wrote, they are great. This is Corkonian. Now, this fella is an anti. This fella, I don't believe this fella has anything. This fella is a bluffer. Plenty of hot water, morning, noon and night. This Corkonian, I think I'll ban that fella. That fella is not, he has nothing, he has no detail. You see, above when you go to Philip Turner, he can tell you exactly. And very important there is Paddy Neville, who says any fluctuation is called dirty power. And that is, dirty power is a scourge of the grid. Dirty power destroys your capacitors and all your highly technical stuff. It should be on the 50 phase, regular beat. It can't be going up and down with the gust of the wind. You have that, you have problems. That's why this is dirty power. That's why they had to get the diesel engines in. They shut down Whitegate in Cork. It took them a year to get the closed cycle gas turbine back online. They're broken with this thing. Now, Mark says here, Val, do you know Do people know that if you have a smart meter in your home, you have to allow them access to your home because it belongs to them? Of course, you have to sign up and let them in. That's it. But I know in one house the smart meter is outside. So I have been. So here's John. I've been told the limit for power for solar on the grid is 3 kilowatts. Now here's more information. 3 kilowatts. He was told this. Solar panels being DC use an inverter which sync with the grid and can also manage battery storage as well. Nobody tells us how to sync with the grid. Are they connected? As I understand it, if the grid shuts down, the solar panels will not sync with anything. They need the grid frequency to tell them what the frequency is. Then they're on here about them causing cancer. I don't know. Well, Val, thanks for putting me straight. So my outlay of €30 on 2 small solar panels was foolish. No, €30 is cheap, and you'll find out a wee bit about them, and you can get them to charge batteries. Problem is I have no batteries to charge. But I was thinking of getting one to work the electric fences in the far fields. Might not be a bad idea, because most of my electric fence work is done in summertime. So, see, people say, oh no, I have one for electric fence. There's Val Martin's wrong. Oh, you're wrong. We have to compare like with like. The LED lights that are lighting my hall 7 nights a week must be all. In other words, this fella has all of this stuff. He has lights in the hall, LED lights, and that proves that putting 17,000 into solar panels, PV panels, is a good idea, because he has them lighting little lights in the hall. Do you see the logic of First Mate? I don't know. He says he's a retired engineer. You can't compare all solar with all solar. As I say, I might consider having them for electric fences. But most people don't have the brain power. Solar, that's it. Like looking at 2 men. One's alive, he's 37 and he's alive and working up on a roof, and the other is dead and he's in the grave. Oh no, not all men are good at putting on roofs. I know a lad and he's dead and he doesn't do any. This is the bloody logic. Now, first tool modification. Frequency and voltage are definitely issues. To feed power back into the grid, the inverter or microinverters need to sync with the grid frequency, and then to successfully backfeed power into the grid, a higher voltage than the instantaneous voltage. Yes, voltage will always flow by the potential. If you have 12 volt here and 9 here, the 12 volt will bring up the 9 to somewhere in between, like 9.5 or 10. Do you understand? The voltage will always flow from high to low. Now, instantaneous grid needs to be generated by those inverters to push power up the feed line. That's true. Locally and various countries, there are limits to how much you can feed back. And that is why new installs need clearance by the DNG to ensure that local supply can cope with it. Yes, well, I mean, you're going to talk technical and make a laugh here, but if you have a single phase and all your neighbours have single phases, and everyone in this road here on this line has solar and they have none, you have an imbalance. Then how does this feed back up through the transformer? Is another big deal. What does it save at the power station? So he says here, so now they have push now, and various countries have limits how much they can give, and that is new installs need clearance to do from the company. Now, with expected balance in all circumstances between supply and demand, feed in tariffs, and I think what he means there is you need to have everyone on the line using something. If they're not using it, it's not so good. Feed-in tariffs and alike are going to be all over the place. Yeah, they'll put a tax on it, as well as physical switching off of solar generators could actually be charged to supply energy. That's happening already. It'll all work for the first few newcomers. EV chargers now mandated that all UK installed ones are internet linked at all times. So the minute you get your PV panels feeding into the grid, they have full control of your electricity supply from a remote control. There it is, from full festool modification. I wish to God he had to use a simpler name. Should grid stability become compromised thanks to excessive demand, pretty sure they will cut you off. No notice. None of this has been properly planned or executed. Thank you very much. I'll spell out his username so you can read him. FESTOOLIFICRTION, and that's his contribution. So now we're beginning to form a good picture on this. Now this is what's now. The German micro PV generation system seems quite good, and they give credit for any excess produced. It allows a peak production to the grid of 800 watts. That's 0.8 of a kilowatt. It wouldn't boil a kettle. There's 1,000 watts in a kilowatt. Either by using microinverter with a maximum of 800 watts or controlling the output to 800 watts. Two 50-watt panels at 800 watt inverters mount cables should cost less than 400. And the connection to the house is by an outside rated cable from the inverter to a standard external wall socket. He says, read more here. So this man seems to know about Germany, must be a man in Germany. Would be great for small businesses which operate during daylight hours. Is it great? Who is it great for? Hello Val, I have a question for you, and ideally really appreciate your response. Are credit unions safer than banks? See, this is not the place to ask me that question. Please don't ask off-topic questions. I have general news where you can ask that. Smart meters also damage your health. I don't know, do they? My father has them, and he will have over 5,000 kilowatts in 1 year. Never has a bill just the first year. Finbar blogs. I'm afraid that's, you see, these are all, could be lies, but it could be just first comers. You see, the newcomers will all be looked after to encourage them. Did you ever hear anyone telling you, oh, I made a hard mistake buying that Jeep. I shouldn't have bought it. It's a load of junk. Oh, I wouldn't buy them cars. You need to be very friendly with someone. People will not tell you they made a mistake. Now, the ESCI heat pumps have their place in heating and cooling so long as the supply of water is the proper temperature. I think the transfer loss is 10. Well, they're not. So long as the supply of water. So now we'll have to control the water that's flowing down the drain. Go away with that. Now, shiny eyes. It's nuts. CO2 is a tiny part. Yeah. Why are we worried about CO2? Scared. They have the drawers scared of them. And they're spending their money saving the planet. And the children all stuck in the chippers. Eating frickin' old junk. Old junk burgers and all that. They won't feed their kids. They won't give them scrambled egg. They won't get a nice little bit of fish and cook it. So, wouldn't they be better off going and provide their kids with good food? Oh, I have PV panels. Oh, I'm green. Oh, I'm driving an electric car. The kids with a big lump of what do you call it, sausages and what do you call them, battered sausages and chips and grease, big old grease. And then they wonder why they're sick. And the medical system can't cope with all the illness. They won't cook. They won't boil a head of cabbage. Some of their children never got their teeth into a piece of nice boiled cabbage. So then Super Runner says the cables are underground in Dublin. This is the biggest load of shit I ever heard. You're a person that believes everything. They are underground in Dublin. Definitely. Because I have friends in Dublin and I can see them. And I can see them going down and coming up. Out there from the Pigeon House, there's very few high voltage lines. There are some. And you see, this fella probably doesn't understand. We're talking about the 3 volt, the 3-phase line. But the fact is there was very little disruption during the storm. So I don't accept that. PV panels are brilliant. No electric bill since I put them in. Of course, we have no idea who this is. We can't go and check them out. We can't do anything. The thing is, the government is lying. There's no tests done. Nothing. Hello, Val. You might be leading those good people astray. I know Australia is brighter and sunnier place than Ireland. However, there is some information you might find interesting. The state of South Australia generates most and the same days of its power from solar with no base load. I dealt with that before. I don't believe it. There is base load in Australia. They are burning. There is power station. That is absolute nonsense. I don't believe that at all. So, which rock have you been high? You're as mad as a brush. Joe Hayes. So this is Joe Hayes again. I want you to know, folks, should I ban that fella? See, he won't tell us he won't give any explanation to why he says this is wrong, that we shouldn't debate this. People are going to put 17,000 of their money into this and discover it's wasted. And then I'm as mad as a brush. So I think we'll get that fella to hell out of here. I think he's one of those fellas who's been a warrior with a name. There's his thing he uses, a sort of a picture, Joe Hayes, yeah. You know, this is it. You have no reason. You have to give reason. If you continually post you're as mad as a brush and you don't give reasons, I'll eventually get you to hell out of here because I have enough subscribers without the lick of them. Here's a comment now on the video I made, and the name of this video is the last one I did on solar. Solar panels up, down and across. And this one is that from Irishman 9877. Hi Val, I'm with you on these topics. Love your videos. Just want to say I know how the green climate scam works and all that, but I installed 4.8 kilowatt solar panels on my roof 2 to 3 years ago, which is 13 panels. Very good. I'd say this is true. The year after I installed a 9.5 kilowatt battery and a NEDI. I presume that's an inverter. Ever since I installed it, I still never paid an ESB bill. Now, he doesn't say whether he's the ordinary old meter or he's on a smart meter. We don't know. And I don't get paid for exports, as I'm still on government credits from the pandemic. So there was credits given out as a result of the COVID pandemic, and they were given out to all people, and some people maybe with disabilities got more. So how can that affect the solar panels? Once there's government credits of 200, I think I got one of 200, and I don't know if somebody else minds that end of it, but the thing is, it destroys the whole debate, because once the government moves in, it means nothing. You're just getting taxpayers' money. I am 200 euros left now, so I'll join CIE or someone else in me. I'll join SSE now, day or night. Not a smart meter, so he doesn't have a smart meter. So I don't know. That's very convoluted. We want to know exactly what the position is. So excess export goes into hot water cylinder. No problem. Heat your water. So he's as clean as a whistle. And what about a lad that only takes a shower twice a year? It's all about, these people don't do anything more. I don't know. It's all very confusing. I charge the battery on a night rate. Now, this is another thing. There's cheaper night rate power. That's coal, oil and gas. So that's all mixed up. The best man's not giving out or anything, but does not help the situation, because he's using fossil fuel at a different time. Now, I'll finish up, because you have to compare like with like, and as Shakespeare said, a fool and his money are easy parted. But I know electricity inside out. I remember one time a student called to me one summer's evening, and I was eating the salad, and he wanted to know how you make a motor. And I made a motor running on a 6-volt battery off a flash lamp while I was waiting on my tea. And it went round. So I know how these things work. Now, another thing about digging a hole for a dog in the backyard. This is nonsense. That doesn't help my man anything. But here's the last one. Val, if you install an array of solar panels on your roof, what sort of ones? He doesn't say on the thermal or the PV. There you are, straight away. And you feed the resulting power into your home. Presumably it's voltage. Right? Feed into your home. Do that, no problem, if you think that'll help you out. And you can have a totally separate line. In this old house, I have a separate wiring. I have the original wiring, which is not very powerful, does the lights and that, and I have strong wiring running along the skirting, because doesn't have to be very picturesque. So I have the two systems separate. And during the blackout, I was laughing. In fact, it was a great feeling. And people coming in here to warm themselves up on the space heater. You feed the resulting power into your home. You return the unused power to the grid. You don't return unused power to the grid. The power you're putting into the grid never was in the grid already. What's wrong with that? Well, that's the big debate here. I don't understand why you're against solar panels. I'm not against the thermal ones. I'm debating here and answering a letter. So the answer to your call is this letter. That's why this person asked me. And there could be 50 million, maybe 2 billion about to be invested in solar panels. And I don't care about rich people, and I don't care about Greens or wokes. Let them go to hell. I'm talking about the ordinary person who wants to know the facts. Might be an expert in farming or maybe tiling, roofs or something, but he might know about power. So this is it. I'm asked to give my tuppence halfpenny. So I don't understand why you're against them. I get your point about wind power. So he admits that wind power is a problem. They are like tits on a bull, but solar seems to work. Well, seems is no good. There is no SEA done on energy. There is no proper scientific or engineering test. No one ever sets up a house and lets me go over and stay in it. Why isn't there a house somewhere over say, Longford or Roscommon, where I can go over, bring an old kettle and a few sandwiches and stay overnight and check it? No. I had a spy in a wind turbine that's the same as the ones here at Rara, and it was only given a tiny amount of power in 22 mile an hour winds. It was given about 33%. And I found that out because I have spies working for me everywhere, and I can't expose my spy network. Do you understand? And then the other man here, Jerry Play, I don't think domestic installation goes straight to the grid. It's usually when your battery is full. Yes. If you have it up, this is the way it works. You have your panels on the roof. You have your inverter. You have your battery. It's usually a lithium-ion battery. You have your battery. Where is it installed? Is it up in the attic? A lithium-ion battery. Come on, hold on now a minute. I'd rather the lead acid. But anyway, you have your battery. The battery's the first thing to get charged up. If the battery's not fully charged, when you turn on the lights, it's using the battery through the inverter. It's only when the battery's fully charged, it gets up to the correct voltage, that it starts to invert and feed back to the grid. As it feeds back to the grid, the analog grid goes backwards, deducting that from your units. I asked the question, what if your units is nil? What if you're away on holidays for a month? Will they give you a check? Don't know. But the point is, it'll feed it to the grid and the grid pays you a rate. And the analog one cannot differentiate between the prices because it just subtracts the solar. Whereas the smart meter can give you a different price for the generator power you put in to the price they charge you. So we've established all that. That is an awful lot, folks. That's 58. Oh my God, 58 minutes. I'm so sorry. Right, I'll have to stop at that. Haven't I made a decent effort to put this right? And maybe these videos will resonate that the government or somebody will have to come out and tell the truth. You can buy solar panels for around 7,000 that you'll pay 17,000 of a supplier, and you won't have to pay the one going round with the nice perfume, 1,000, and there's 1,000 from the electrician to wire them up. Decide what you do yourself. I claim the reason this topic is taking place is they've destroyed our electricity system. They've destroyed our electricity system with the green junk that the people can't pay. As this person here says, the ESB bill is getting to a point of being unmanageable. You cannot pay. You get a small diesel 4 kilowatt generator and get a good deal of batteries or whatever you have and an inverter and power your own house. And that might be the answer. Put a drop of diesel into it, charge up your batteries, forget about the grid, let them hump off, take out the wires, stuff them, and have, if you're not doing heavy work, and I can weld with my generator. And away you go. Wouldn't that maybe be the right way? There'll always be a bit of oil, and you can run a petrol type generator on gas, on propane, and they can't stop you buying propane. But we'll deal with that separately. I so apologise. I'm still under an hour. Folks, goodbye. Thank you very much.